Wait, we're not ready. Oh, yes, we are.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Grandma Joe.
Happy birthday to you.
How old are you? Cha-cha-cha. Mama, Grandma Joe, we love you so much. We decided to learn some software today that might be a little rough and do a video for you because we were in the mood to reminisce. Yeah, that'll show me in the recording. Don't worry, honey. Bob's all concerned about me not showing up, but Grandma Joe will see me. It's good. So we thought we'd go through some fun little, down memory lane.
Uh-huh.
Do you want to start with something?
Yeah, I will start. I'll go first since obviously you've known Sue forever. You've known me for half of forever, and you've known our kids for a quarter of forever. But so I remember when Sue and I were first dating, and at BU, she was down in Florida and I was down in Philly, and she called me. And we had just started to date, yet in the background, you were like hovering around, Susan, it's time to hang up after 5 minutes because that was a long distance phone call and it was going to be really expensive. I think it was like $3.
After we just went on a yachting trip, we came back from a yachting trip.
Right. So I was confused, but your daughter's been worth it, and we've had a lot of fun since then. So I just thought that we'd start that off that way.
So they didn't give you a dowry to take me on?
They did. They gave me advice. Your dad gave me that the warranty expired on our wedding day, and your mom compromised for the rest of my life, which I've done. I think.
Okay. Yeah. We've done okay. It's been, 30 years. So, Mom, your advice was good. Okay, so on to a next. And thank God, cell phones came into where it's unlimited data, right? That's why our marriage survived.
Because of Verizon?
Because Mom didn't have to. Yeah,
okay.
she didn't have to limit our phone calls, so we could build a romance all through our lives.
News. Good
we
news.
love you, Mama. Let's see. Well, the fun thing that you wanted to also talk about was pronto. Okay.
I'll just jump in.
All right. So one of my, he's bossing me around, Mom. Help. Story of my life. So I remember a funny memory that came to me this morning right away was going, we went, I think, houseboating, and we pulled over for lunch, I think, in Fountain City. And it was just the grown-ups. I think it was before all these cute babes came along. And we were drinking a few too many beers, and we ended up in Fountain City doing a hog pile in the middle of the street. Do you remember that? And we were all so clowning around, and then we ran out of booze, and you were knocking on like stores trying to find more beer, and you wrote a sign on the front. It was like a paper bag, and you wrote "more beer?" ? And you were holding it in the streets going, "more beer." And we were all walking around this ghost town looking for more beer, and it was just such a funny afternoon.
It was a great parenting example, too. I think that was really what I took away from it.
Sorry, children, to corrupt you that Grandma Joe once in a while. Just had one too many, just like the rest of us.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot.
What do you have, Kristin?
I was thinking about when, Grandma Joe, when you gave us the gifts at Christmas and would give everyone the same gift across the board. Loved all those sweaters. My favorite by far were the Oriental cats with the arm paws.
We still have our.
To this day, every time I see one of those, I think, so thanks for that little memoir.
Yeah, and I remember the cats too, to where we put them all up on the mantle at one time, so it was like 18 cats across one thing, all in sync, and it just looked like a horror movie almost. And then I remember, so another one when you gave all our gifts out during Christmas was all the children had these Gap vests that were fluorescent colors. They weren't very tame colors, so there was little kids running around in like bright blue, bright green, bright yellow, just running around the apartment like a little ball, like a whole entire rainbow.
Funny.
And then I remember every time we would hear that we were going to Grandma Joe's apartment, I would get all excited as a kid because there were so many trinkets it was like a little kid's wonderland, almost Disneyland, because you had the the Mickey Mouse phone, which as soon as I would enter your apartment, I would walk right over to it and just pick it up and start dialing. And I thought that was I still have the image of that phone in my head as like Grandma Joe's apartment. And then we had all the hookah, which I didn't know what that was at the time, but that was a cool thing to play with. One thing that just popped into my mind is when we were at Stony End, we had in the pantry,
That's in the Woodlands, just in case she doesn't.
In the Woodlands, Texas. It was when everyone was sort of going through puberty and everyone was growing. So we had in the pantry where everyone would put a notch with a pencil and mark where they were growing. You know, every year they're getting taller and taller. And then about a foot below any of those was Grandma Joe.
I saved that, Matt. I took a picture of that before we sold the house.
Yeah, we made a little notch that was Grandma Joe that was just a head taller or a head shorter than everyone else. I don't know if we ever measured you twice, but I'm sure it might have got a little shorter as we were growing.
Careful.
Everybody else was growing.
No, and then Jake's was a foot higher than everybody.
Yeah, he took off just like a rocket. So
there was this thing, guys. You never saw this, but Grandma Joe used to have these monkeys that were like made out of leather and cloth, and they were cute little monkeys, and they had weights in the feet. They had really long leather legs and arms. And I used to, when I lived at Grandma Joe and Grandpa Tom's apartment for a couple of weeks after we graduated college, I would literally take these monkeys every day and I would move them around and reposition them. So when they opened the refrigerator, there was the monkey drinking some wine. When they opened the kitchen cupboard, there was the monkey sitting on a plate ready to eat. When, they opened the freezer, he was holding an ice cube.
It was so funny. Grandma Joe would laugh so hard at every little thing your dad did. She thought he was just the cat's meow.
So I did it pretty consistently every day for like a couple weeks.
I think it was more like, honey, for like a whole year. He just, every time he came over, he positioned the monkey somewhere, and she would just, you, Mom, we're talking to you, you would just laugh your head off. And he's still monkeying around. I am the monkey. But that was good. I hope you remember that, Mom. That was funny times when Bob lived on your porch for 3 weeks, and you were Saint Joe to let him do that. Thank you.
I was a good house guest.
Yeah, you were.
Your mom told me I was lots of times.
Probably better than I was. Okay, so let's see. I got to chime in with the memory of packing up for the cabin mostly every weekend, every other at least. And we used to have this old station wagons, and we would do the brown grocery bags. We put everything in the brown grocery bags. Didn't matter what it was. Maybe laundry baskets once in a while, but we just got in the car and cruised to the cabin. And from that day on, I just always packed in grocery bags and garbage bags and drove him crazy. I'd get on an airplane with.
Yeah, our first flight together from Boston to Philadelphia, Sue got on the plane with a dark, hefty bag. That was her luggage. And we were going to meet my parents. And I was like, honey, what are you doing? This is normal. What's wrong with this? This is when we went to the cabin.
So, Mom, I'm sure
my God.
I'm sure Mom's cringing right now, saying, "I deny that. But I gotta
that
play."
Actually, that rubbed off on me too, because I used to go to children's camps, like Christian summer camps, and I would pack my stuff in a garbage bag. Everyone would be throwing or getting the bags off of the bus in normal, gym bags, travel bags. And then someone would toss just this garbage bag, and I'd be like, that's mine right there. Got that one.
Too
and
funny.
People would look at me like somewhat judgmental, but it was normal to me because I got it from my mom.
So, Mom, you are perfect with one exception, and that's it. And if you deny that, then we'll just declare you perfect. Of course. Yeah.
Oh, no. Well,
Go
I
ahead.
have one. It's separate, but I remember the outings that I would go on with Grandma Joe. With you, and one of my favorites was Disney on Ice, and it was like a bunch of figure skaters, which I was obsessed with at the time, and like all of my favorite movies combined into one show. And I remember I got a souvenir from I think it was like ice cream or a slushie that I got, and I had a Dopey mug coming out of that like kept for years, and it was my favorite cup. And like I don't think I drank this out of that cup, but I always remember drinking white grape juice every time we would go to your apartment. It was like, we're going to Grandma Joe's. Hope she has the white grape juice. I think it's gonna come in strong, like just as usual. And every single time, without a doubt, I would have a glass of white grape juice in your kitchen.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Do you remember the picnics where she'd throw a blanket on the ground and you guys couldn't sit at the table? It was you're on the floor on a blanket. She would throw juice boxes and then order, like, what did you say this morning? Taco Bell?
Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, McDonald's. There was an order placed the day before. Every time we're going to go visit Grandma Joe. What do you want? Because Grandma Joe needed to go get the food lined up. You know.
Yeah, I remember getting orders like days in advance, like that. What taco do you want from the drive-thru? I don't know yet, but
Let me think about that one.
We're gonna start making it now, or what's?
I remember eating pizza in the hallways, even like took the picnic outside.
Awesome.
I remember that. I think it was at Lauren Green, but like open doors, kids like running in the elevators, in the hallways, grab pizza without stopping. Like it was
so much fun.
Totally. Yeah. We used to host a lot of dinners at our house, whether it was Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, whatever. We had Grandma Joe's 70th birthday at our house, which was absolutely hilarious because we had like 30 people there. But there was this one time that we had Grandma Joe, you were at our house on Oak Drive for Thanksgiving. And it was Sue and I, and the kids were pretty young. And as we're cooking dinner, power goes out halfway through the turkey being done. I don't even know what we ate, if we ate turkey that night or if we just waited another couple of hours.
Oh, and Hal was there. I don't know if you mentioned
And Hal was there?
Oh, gosh, yeah. So
okay.
Hal had to leave before he could even have a turkey
because
dinner.
That's right.
It was my most embarrassing Thanksgiving ever because we told Mom to bring Hal as a guest, and then he has to leave before it's ready. Yeah, that was like major faux pas. Okay, so I got one bone to pick with you, Mama. 2340. I was the youngest and the best child, so every time you put stuff on the stairway, you asked me to run it up all day long, every day. The other kids, you knew I'd always say yes and not give a fuss. And so like I said, I was the easiest, the best child. I ended up being the most corrupt. You don't know that, Grandma Joe, but the quiet, sweet one ends up pretty corrupt and no one knows.
I didn't know you were the most corrupt.
Anyhow, I laugh when I think about you even telling me, you just easily do it. You just do it when I ask. So I'm sorry, but could you do it again? And I run your cigarettes up. And did you guys know Grandma Joe smoked? Naughty Grandma Joe.
Yes, she did. What about the address book that you had in college?
Oh, okay. So here I am in college, and all the other kids who had normal families, had one phone number, and then I would be with some roommates, and I'd have to call my mom, and they would see this phone book.
This is before cell phones.
Yeah, this is before, obviously this is a long time ago. And there was like 7 addresses, 7 different phone numbers. I go, well, I have to try my mom here. Well, she's on a yacht today. She's at a cabin today. She's at this house. People are like, what? Wait, what? It was like, what is going on? And I would get confused. I'd go, where are you? What state are you in? What country are you in? And it was just funny. When Bob saw that, he's like, what kind of family do you have? 7 different people for addresses. And
it was pretty funny. And then we had to get addicted to Brian Neistat to make all of our airline travel reservations before there was the internet.
Yes, Brian was our go-to guy and still is for Grandma Joe. Is he still alive, Mom? I don't know if I think he is. I think you've used him in the last couple of years. Anyhow, here's to Brian. Awesome guy. Let's see what else. We have some notes here. Anything else?
Let's do some reservations at Pronto.
Go ahead, Kristin.
Along the lines of travel, I think Grandma Joe, you always had and trinkets, but cool clothes and just things around the house that were so from around the world. And you always had a mix in style. So whenever we would get hand-me-downs, it would be like, oh, nice. We're going to get something from storage to. And I recently was the recipient. Well, I kind of stole it from my mom, but the coat that you gave her.
Borrowed it. I want it back, and I'm picking it up this weekend.
Yeah, I'll be giving it back at some point. Maybe this weekend, maybe not. But I I wore it last winter when I was in London, and I was kind of thinking to myself, like, I'm wearing Grandma Joe's coat and traveling like Grandma Joe. I basically am Grandma Joe. So,
That's that gorgeous, I'm going to pronounce it wrong, Massini coat. Grandma Jo knows her designers. Man, do you know your designers? And do you know the name of it?
Massimo?
Masona? No, whatever. But Mom, truly, she just borrowed it. She gave me strict orders. Do not give this to any of your kids. This is yours.
oops.
So tell the truth. You're borrowing it, and I am picking it up on your move this weekend. Kristin moves too
Yeah,
much.
I did borrow it.
I don't want
But-
Mom to get mad at me on this video. I love you, Mama.
Yeah, don't get mad. I forced her to let me borrow it, and she pushed back. She finally gave in because I pinned her down, but I'll be giving it.
Can I maybe borrow it? How nice of a coat is it?
You love it,
On
Matt.
your stand-up routine.
Well, Matt, you said that you wanted a girlfriend soon, and that wouldn't pan out well if you start wearing that coat.
That's true.
But you could give it to.
But she'll see
that
that I
girlfriend.
come from a family of wealth and expensive taste, and maybe that'll help.
That'll attract the right one.
Or I could just
you have
give it
enough
to her
going for you.
I could give it to her on a first date and offer it to her. And
No. Yeah, Grandma Jo will write you out of her emotional will. She will disown you. Well, Mama,
wait,
unless
I have
go ahead.
one more thing that I wanted to say. Grandma Jo, when I moved out to California a couple months ago, and I got to see you and stop in Phoenix and talk to you for a little bit in your apartment, I thought it was so fun how I picked up Thai food for you, and you had your favorite little Thai spot that you requested. And I went there to pick up lunch, and your order, I think, was 2 pot stickers, which for anyone else is maybe 2 bites of food, but that was all you requested, and I thought that was so cute.
It's so
And-
Grandma Jo.
That's adorable.
So it's basically just picking up a meal for one with a tiny appetizer, but that was your portion. But I just had so much fun talking to you in your apartment. I know we haven't got to spend that much time together, me as an adult, so it was awesome to have like a grown-up conversation with you, and you were so encouraging about me moving out to California, and it meant a lot to me. So I loved seeing you during that trip.
Aw,
That's sweet.
so sweet.
Grandma Jo, you have really invested so much in all of us and all your kids, obviously. We just love you so much, and we're so grateful for everything you've given us.
You're the best mommy on the entire planet, even though you have 2 things that are imperfect. You truly are the best. You're full of unconditional love, which has been demonstrated since the day you became a mom, and you were the greatest grandma. We just love you so much.
Grandma Jo, you're the definition of a sweet grandma. You're like the epitome of what that looks like. And I love you so much, and I'm so grateful for you.
I'm so grateful as well, and I love every time I would walk through the door and you'd hold your arms out and go, "Oh, Matthew." So
Yeah,
I love
you're
you so
also,
much.
You love to just make us feel so good about ourselves. When I walk in the room, you're like, Kristin, you are the most beautiful granddaughter. And every time I'd be like, nice, yeah, we're gonna feel good after this.
She's so good for our self-esteem. What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
full of
Going.
confidence boosters.
Yes.
Well, we love you so much. We're going to sign off unless anybody has any more stuff.
Love you, Josie.
We love you.
Love you, Grandma Jo.
Have a great
Happy birthday.
Yes, have a great birthday.
Okay.
Not sure how to turn this off.